Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/AskReddit, where Reddit bears the question: what are your crazy ex-girlfriend or boyfriend stories? And people on Reddit provided many answers, which I shall read to you. If you enjoy, like and subscribe. And leave a comment with your thoughts or stories down below. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Ex-girlfriend tried to hit me with her car, chased me down an alley in which a fence too high to jump was on one side and condos on the other. Proceeded to call me the next day at work and tell me that I looked like a sexy cheetah running away from her car. She cray-cray. 2 years ago, I ended things. She attempted to contact me again, and I wasn't having it. After a few failed attempts, she sent another message that said, "You better find your God now, because I'm going to freaking unalive you." My girlfriend told me the week before I went to college that I got her pregante, knowing that we were not going to date long distance. She sent me a picture of a stock photo pregnancy test she cropped that was positive. I literally just Google searched positive pregnancy tests, and it was one of the first ones. I made her come over and take another one. It was negative, and she left. Oh, mine gets a little more in depth than that. I broke up with the girl on a Monday, but me being me, I tried to stay friends with her. When I broke up with her, she kept saying I needed to give her 6 more weeks for closure, and that I was her last chance at dating. She was 25. On Friday, she shows up and says, "Hey, OP, I'm gonna let you go, but I want you to know that I am pregante." The next day she calls me saying she's going to the ER. Later that day I get a phone call. She says that it's a tubular pregnancy. She needs to take the abortion pill. Note, this usually requires surgery. She asked me if I would come over that night because she would need moral support. I felt obligated to go. When I was there, I told her I was going to leave when she went to bed. She started to cry and say she was afraid she might hurt herself, so I needed to stay there. That freaked me out a bit, so I did. At night, she took my hand, put it on her belly, and said, "Say goodbye." So, next day I woke up and got the heck out. I figure it's all over. That Monday I get a phone call. She says, "I'm still pregnant." Apparently, according to her, she had twins, and one had survived. I told her I wanted to go with her to the next doctor's appointment. She said fine. It was Wednesday. On Tuesday, she messages me and tells me that there's an opening, so she went early. Asked if I wanted a picture, and she said sure. She sent me one, and I looked at it. No information on it, so I asked her, and she said they emailed it to her. Made sense. They removed all identifiable information. 2 days later, a friend with better Google foo than me took that picture and found it online under someone else's name. You could even see where parts of the image had elements removed. I confronted her about it, and she said she couldn't believe that I wouldn't believe her, and my child would never know who I am. The next day, she sent me an email saying her lawyer would be in touch. The next day, she sent me an email saying she was going to have the abortion, but I needed to pick her up and pay for it. 5 minutes later, she sent me an email saying that if I didn't respond, she would just keep the child. I responded back saying that I had found the image, showed her the link, and said her story has about 1 to 50,000 chance of being real, even without the fake image. I said if she continued to harass me, I would get a protection for harassment. 2 weeks went by. I hear nothing. Then I get a call at 6 p.m. from her phone number. The girl that sounds very much like her says that she is her cousin, going to be her lawyer, and I need to call back. The only problem is that the callback number was her home number, so obviously this was fake as well. Oh, and this has been my last 3 weeks, so it's probably not even over. Rest in peace, OP. Such an insane girlfriend. When I broke up with my ex, he became so hysterical that the only way he would let me leave him was if after the breakup we continued to be best friends. Not just any kind of best friend either. He wanted me to still come over for sleepovers and share his bed with him. He told me that any other guy I dated after him had to be 100% okay with this, or else I couldn't date them. That is fucking terrifying. Run as fast as you can. I had a somewhat similar situation with my first boyfriend. It actually began in a very weird way, but being as young as I was, I ignored it because, well, someone actually liked me. When I met him, we went to different schools. He went to a private school and I went to public school. After a few months of pretty much just an aim or a friendship, he transferred to my school. That was the first red flag. We started dating, if you could even call it that, and started to notice him getting way too serious about it. He would talk about being together forever and going to college together. He would even scold me if I got a bad grade because I might not get into college. I realized how overwhelming he was and broke up with him. He was so embarrassed that he didn't want to tell his parents, who had apparently tried to convince him every day that we would be together forever. He wanted me to go to his house for dinner and so on, and pretend we were still together. I felt bad for hurting his feelings, so I did for a little while. It finally ended when I began seeing someone else. I told him I was dating someone and he freaked out. He started crying and yelling and ordering me to give back everything he ever gave me, telling me he wanted to off himself, and then he pulled a painting out of his closet that I briefly mentioned liking. He said he was going to give it to me after our 1-year wedding anniversary, and that I ruined that, and that's when I stopped feeling bad. I did not speak to him ever again. It was very scary. My first boyfriend tried to convince me he had slashed his wrists because I wouldn't take him back. The blood was a red salad dressing. My high school girlfriend told me she had cancer after our first date. She asked me not to tell anyone and that her parents got really upset if it was mentioned, so not to talk about it with anyone. I dated her for 6 months. She turned herself anorexic to appear sickly. Once I started making friends, no one understood why I was with her, and I kept it secret. Well, I finally put 2 and 2 together after she told me she was going in for chemo on Monday. She said she wasn't going to be at school for at least a week. I caught her trying to hide from me before the first class and asked her how the chemo went. She said it went so well and that all her hair fell out, but they sewed it all together and sewed the wig to her head. Yeah, she was a special one. This is my top crazy ex story. After our first date, she said she had pancreatic cancer, but that no one else at school knew about it, and she wanted to keep it that way. I agreed to keep her secret, and we dated for 6 months. And then the whole thing imploded. During the 6 months, she had also told a handful of people, including a teacher, who had lost their daughter to cancer the year prior. After school, she is sitting with the teacher, and they are talking about how rough it is for her when the school counselor walks by and overhears. The counselor calls my girlfriend's mother, asking why she wasn't informed, and kaboom. Her whole world of lies imploded. She is restricted from going on our class trip. Most of her friends won't talk to her. She decides she can't stay at her mother's anymore and moves in with her supposedly abusive father. I decided to stick with her. I felt that if I had left, she might have offed herself. She needed some sort of support, and I decided I could forgive the lies. And that was an extraordinarily difficult decision to come to. Fast forward 5 months and she's cheating on me. Oh no, who would have seen that coming? I have two. First one was a girl I'd been seeing for a few months. She was 21 and I was 24 and had a boy about 2 years old. She was basically normal, had a good job, took care of the kid okay. She was kind of a dim bulb though, not very bright. I was bored in the relationship and really didn't want to become a stepdad to the kid, so I ended it. No problem. I run into her a month or so later at a bar, and we end up going back to her place for a night of ex-naughties. Next morning, she makes coffee and breakfast. I go to school, she goes to work. I get incredibly sick on the way to school, throw up multiple times, and make it to school still puking. Find the nurse and medical office and vaguely recall being loaded into an ambulance. Come to the hospital. A doc tells me I OD'd on an enormous amount of meth and had about 5 minutes left to live before they figured it out. Oh, by the way, there are some federal agents here to talk to you. Turns out she planned this whole thing and decided if she couldn't have me, no one could. She went to jail but got a reduced sentence for turning on the family member that was making and distributing the meth. The second one was not nearly as bad. We dated casually for a few weeks. Decided she wasn't for me, so I called it off. Got a call a week later saying that I gave her gonorrhea. What the hell? I go to the doc, get tested with a thing down Mr. P-hole. Owie. Results came back, I'm clean. It then comes back to me that it was just revenge for me breaking up with her. She was going to tell me she was pregante to make me pay for the abortion, but was talked out of that by her best friend. I would have rather paid the money. I went out of town for my best friend's wedding, in which I was a bridesmaid. I didn't take my boyfriend at the same time as per request of the bride. It's her day, and considering my boyfriend and I are on the outs at the time, I was not opposed to this. He's an ADD kid and didn't get his meds refilled before I left town on 4 days. This is his meltdown. It started off okay. We would text back and forth, but I wouldn't be able to reply as fast because, well, duh. I'm helping with a wedding. He overdosed on Valium and told me he was wandering around outside, then doesn't answer his phone for 6 hours, in which I'm panicking because I'm a 6-hour drive away from my home, and I don't know if he's wandered off in his fricked up state or not. I break down. My best friend's stepdad, an ex-cop, sits with me and lets me know some options on what I can do from this far away. Eventually, I sent my apartment manager over to see if he had left the house or not. Apparently, he had fallen asleep because he took so many recreational drugs. The actual day of the ceremony, he flips out again because I don't have the time to come talk to him at all. Tensions are high for the wedding party, as we are pushing to get this ceremony on the way. I leave my phone in my bag while I help the bride and groom. Come back to less than 10 voicemails, 30 texts, half of it is incoherent key-smashing style typing, and this continues the whole weekend. I stop responding. I come home to find my blinds torn, my DVD player smashed, cooking oil spilled all over my kitchen floor that he made me clean up because apparently it was my fault he knocked it over. while I wasn't even in town, and my entire nail polish collection, which is over 50 colors, destroyed. I'm still finding cracked bottles. It's amazing how I haven't died from all these fumes. Red-colored Kool-Aid splashed everywhere, even inside the kitchen drawers. I don't even know how that happened. He didn't apologize for any of it. His only words were,
"You made me do it. If you hadn't ignored me, this would have never happened."
We are obviously no longer together, but this is just one episode of many. This man will be 30 next month. I pity his next girlfriend. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed the stories I had read for you. If you did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment with your thoughts or own stories down below. Who knows, maybe I'll put your comment in a video of its own. The world may never know. Now, I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.